Hello everyone, so today we have another interesting book which is different from all the series we have talked about, which is all novels. And this is not a novel but a book of thoughts and ideas. It's called Beyond Good and Evil by the great philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Let us start with Nietzsche, the person. In the history of art, science, philosophy, and even literature, one very often finds that in order to appreciate or to evaluate a work, it is not much of an advantage to be familiar with its author and his life. An intellectual or artistic product is better judged on its own merits than on the basis of uncertain knowledge about the idiosyncratic features and muddled purposes of its author. Moreover, in some cases, authors intentionally withdraw from their products in an attempt to become invisible and to let the work speak for itself, and thus leave us very few personal clues in their works. Rousseau could serve as an example of the first kind of case, and Kant of the second. Kant goes so far as to use the phrase "de nobis ipsis silemus." Of our own person we will say nothing, as a motto for his main work. We therefore tend to believe that a distinction can be drawn between the private views of the author and the meaning of the work which the author produces. Yet, there are some works with respect to which such a consideration does not so easily apply. These are works whose very meaning is tied intrinsically to the person of their author. As is the case with diaries, letters, personal notes, or autobiographies. Here, our knowledge about the author, or perhaps an understanding of the situation the author is in, are necessary ingredients for an appreciation of the text. There are many reasons to presume that Nietzsche thought of many of his texts as being like diaries or personal notes that tell us something about himself and about his perspective on the matters they address, rather than as products that aim at objective, non-personal results. Hence, his biography may be of interest in any attempt to assess his work. Nietzsche's life is surely not a success story. On the contrary, it is a rather sad story of misery and failure. It is the story of a man who, from the beginning of his adult life until the sudden and catastrophic end of his productive period, was confronted with embarrassing and humiliating experiences. This is true of his private life as well as of his relations with the intellectual community of his time. He was plagued by ill health, a psychosomatic wreck, suffering from all sorts of diseases, ranging from chronic nervous ailments and severe eye problems, which left him almost blind, to extremely exhausting states of prolonged migraine. These conditions made life tolerable for him only in a few places in northern Italy and the Swiss Engadine in the summer. And it is these places that he spent most of his time in the 1880s. His social relations were always, to put it mildly, somewhat complicated.